The world just got a little smaller. Not because of a war, not because of a pandemic, but because of a signature. One stroke of a pen, and entire nations could find themselves grounded. No visas, no entry, no exceptions. For millions of people, that dream trip to Disneyland just turned into a political thriller. Welcome to the New World Order, where your passport is your privilege and your country's reputation is your biggest baggage. This isn't your average travel list. This is the top 10 countries that might never get visas again under Trump, where diplomacy meets drama and foreign policy feels like airport security on steroids. Stay locked in, because by the end of this video, you might start checking your own passport just to make sure you're still welcome. Number 1. Afghanistan, the country that America left behind. If the visa game were poker, Afghanistan's hand got burned in the fire. Since the Taliban's return, the US says the country has no functional government capable of reliable identity verification. Translation: Washington doesn't trust any document coming out of Kabul. And they're not exaggerating. Data shows that nearly 30% of Afghan student visa holders overstayed their trips before the system collapsed. So when officials talk about security risk, they mean we can't even confirm who's who. For Afghans dreaming of safety or education abroad, the American door that once cracked open in 2001 is now welded shut. And if you thought the door was locked for war, wait till you see what overstay rates can do. Number 2. Chad, where half the travelers never came back. Meet Chad, a country that apparently loves the US a little too much. Stats show that nearly 50% of Chadians on visitor visas never returned home. Half. Imagine hosting a party where half your guests never leave, not even for breakfast. Eventually, you stop sending invites. That's exactly what the State Department did. On paper, it's not personal, it's data-driven. But in practice, it's devastating. Thousands of students and professionals who once used US programs responsibly are now caught in the same dragnet. And if Chad made the list for loving America too long, the next country made it for loving secrets too much. Number 3. Iran. Sanctions, suspicion, and a locked embassy. Iran, where politics is the longest soap opera. No US embassy, decades of sanctions, and an official state sponsor of terrorism label. You could say this visa freeze was written in the stars, or the nuclear deal. US intelligence claims Tehran refuses to share criminal data or deportee info, making vetting almost impossible. In short, if the US can't trust a background check, it won't risk the ticket stamp. And for millions of Iranian students, families, and business owners, the message is clear: stay where you are. But sometimes it's not ideology that gets you banned, it's pure chaos. Number 4. Libya, where the embassy packed up and never looked back. Libya hasn't had a fully functional central government since Gaddafi left explosively. Terror cells, human trafficking routes, and collapsed institutions turned the nation into a no-fly zone for paperwork. You can't verify an address when half the city changes hands every few months. So the US didn't just tighten visa checks, it closed the book entirely. Fun fact, or not so fun, the last time Libya had an active US consulate processing visas was 2014. Since then, radio silence and red tape. And while Libya's problem is chaos, our next country's issue is silence, enforced silence. Number 5. Eritrea, the country that won't take its people back. Eritrea has one of the world's most secretive governments. When the US deports Eritrean nationals, Asmara says, "No thanks, they're your problem now." Add a 55% visa overstay rate for students, and you've got a bureaucratic nightmare. The US calls it non-cooperation, Eritrea calls it sovereignty. Either way, nobody's getting a visa out of it. From unreturned citizens to unreturned students, let's meet a country that treats visas like one-way tickets. Number 6. Equatorial Guinea, the 70% problem. Small country, huge statistic. 7 out of 10 Equatorial Guineans on student visas never went home. That's not a red flag, that's a national neon sign flashing "We love America" permanently. For a country with one of Africa's highest GDPs per capita, it's an ironic twist: rich in oil, poor in trust. And Washington doesn't gamble on those odds anymore. If overstaying is bad, refusing to cooperate is worse. And if you do both, you end up like the next nation. Number 7. Somalia, a stateless and stranded. Somalia's chaos is legendary. Warlords, pirates, and governments that vanish faster than visa deadlines. The US says there's no reliable government partner for information sharing. In other words, you can't background check a ghost. And with extremist networks still active, visa approvals for Somalis have dropped by more than 70% since 2017. That's not a slowdown, that's a dead end. But what if your country does have a government, it just can't catch a break? Number 8. Haiti's the island that America keeps saying maybe to. Haiti's overstay rates hover above 30%, and political instability makes vetting unpredictable. But this ban hurts on another level: family reunification. Thousands of Haitians with relatives in the US are now stuck in a paperwork purgatory. For decades, Haitians filled key labor gaps in Florida and New York. Now they fill visa queues that lead to nowhere. And while some countries lost their visas because of instability, others lost them because of geopolitics, the quiet kind. Number 9. Sudan, a country that keeps getting a second chance, until now. Sudan's government changed, twice, and each time Washington said, "We'll see." But recent turmoil and armed conflict erased whatever goodwill was left. Added 26% overstay rates, and Sudan now stands on the likely banned list again. For Sudanese students, it's deja vu. Visas granted one year, revoked the next. Consistency? Not in this political climate. And finally, a nation that's seen it all, lost it all, it might never board the plane again. Number 10. Yemen, grounded by war. Yemen's war left its citizens without functioning embassies, safe airports, or record systems. It's not that the US doesn't want to issue visas, it's that it can't verify anything. It's like trying to mail a letter to a house that doesn't exist anymore. For Yemenis, the US dream has become a hologram, visible from afar, untouchable up close. These 10 nations tell a global story, of fear, migration, security, and politics colliding. And while officials call it protection, critics call it profiling. Either way, one fact remains: more than 475 million people could find the door permanently shut. So the next time you scroll past a headline about new travel bans, remember, for millions, it's not just policy, it's their future. If this made you think or rethink, hit that like button like your visa depends on it. Subscribe for more bold takes on global politics, and share this video with someone who thinks it could never happen to them. Because the truth is, one election, one signature, and anyone's welcome mat can disappear overnight.